Well, with us today is Sergeant Jeff Crump, and he is here to talk about the new CAD system. It's actually short for the Computer Aided Dispatch. Sergeant Crump, can you tell us a little bit about your role first with the police department?
Yeah, I'm a sergeant, and my current assignment is with the Communications Center, or the Dispatch Center. So I supervise that right now. I've been here just about a year now, and been with the police department for 18 and a half years.
What are some of your other assignments?
I've worked as a gang investigator, special enforcement team. I was a field training officer, a corporal, and a patrol sergeant.
So recently, CPD Dispatch as well as patrol officers begun using a new system known as Computer Aided Dispatch, and we call it CAD for short. What exactly is CAD?
CAD is, again, like you said, computer-aided dispatching. So this gives our dispatchers computers which allow them to gather information from callers, enter that information into the computers, and then dispatch officers with the needed information to calls. It also maintains prior history for locations or people. It keeps track of contacts that we've had with those individuals. It gives them the ability to run license plates and persons for warrants and all those kinds of things. And so it allows them to communicate back and forth with the officers in their mobile computers in their cars.
So how long has the new system been in place?
Yeah, I think they started investigating it about 2 years ago, and then I think it was about last October the real works began, the real hands-on work with building the system, putting the data in, and kind of catering it to our agency and how we do business here.
And so how difficult was the process from switching from the old system to the new CAD system?
It's been fairly difficult. You know, we had to get the system ready for the dispatchers to use here and try to make it as user-friendly as possible from what they had been using before, and to try to take across some of their codes that they would use into this new system. And so it's new for them because basically I think before it was more like a DOS program, and now it's Windows, Windows-based.
So it's more user-friendly than for them?
Well, that's the way it's designed to be, and it's going to take some, it's taking a learning curve right now. The dispatchers all went through a full week course, and they're continually training on it now. A lot of power that we didn't really have before, just have to get used to using that. And then with the officers, same thing now, and their computers, they have a lot more options that they can do on a touchscreen computer. So that's really good, and kind of like a web page where you hyperlink from calls, and you can get that information by just clicking on a call number or case number, and it's fairly complex.
What was it like day one for patrol officers and dispatch? I mean, was it just you flicked a button and said we're going from the old system to the new system, or what was that process like?
It was almost anticlimactic. We said, okay, we're on the new system. All the system had to be built and ready to go, and IT was prepared for that. And then we had representatives here from TriTech, and they said, okay, we're going to switch over. We had to have the officers log off on their old computer system in their car and then sign on to a brand new one. Then that's where the real work began then, because it's dispatchers wondering, okay, how do we do this now? It didn't used to be like this.
What are some of the major benefits for using the new CAD system, benefits for dispatchers as well as the benefit for patrol officers?
Well, the system's designed to have a lot of features that we didn't have before, and one of the main features is the mapping feature. We've, working with our mapping people at the city, the GIS folks, we have our maps uploaded to the computers. So right now our dispatchers can keep track of where the officers are. They can actually see their cars being driven around on kind of like a Yahoo map type thing. And so they can see where the cars are, and that is designed to allow them to help make decisions on which officers to send to a call, who's the closest, and for safety reasons for officers, if for some reason they can't reach an officer on the radio, they know where he is by seeing his car on the map, his or her car. We now have programs that we didn't have on there before, and some of the things are our Easy Writer program that, although we could write reports in the cars before, now we can download photos. So I know the first day, or before we even went live, one of our sergeants was out testing it and had arrested a gang member who was giving him a fake name, and they brought him back in the car and they were able to pull up his photo and show it to him, and I guess he just put his head down and admitted, yeah, I'd been lying. So
Yeah, that's me on the photo.
exactly. So the officers can pull up the photos. They can, like you said, get directions to locations, verbal directions, written directions, with all the GPS information. We've loaded on some programs that, or some features that officers were having to carry in their books, like citation guide and the municipal code and things like that. Those are all uploaded on the computer, so you can search them like you're doing a web page also.
Sure.
So those are pretty nice.
Sergeant Crump, would you be able to show us some of the main functions of CAD?
Sure. Okay, yeah, this is just on a bigger. This is on a desktop, but this is just what the officers see in their car, and there's different sections of the screen, and I won't get into all of them, but you can see right here this group of buttons, and we basically designed those to how we wanted it to be.
Okay.
And these codes here are, the officers can put themselves en route to a call, for example, and put themselves on scene, and then they can clear a call. So they would click the 98 button and then clear or select how they're going to clear a call here, for example, with a citation or an arrest, put themselves available. So all these buttons provide some action or lead us to an action that the officers can do.
Okay. And so when an officer is dispatched to a call, they're automatically placed on the call. What happens? Can you show us what they see when they're placed on a call?
Well, they would get something that would appear like this.
Okay.
And then you can see here that it's blue, and it notifies the officers that they haven't read that information yet. Anywhere that's different colored, like blue here on the screen, is information that they haven't acknowledged that they've read yet. So the officers will get this, and it tells them that they're at a disturbance at a specific location. It will provide the caller's name and which officers are going, and then the updated information from dispatchers. As I mentioned before on the CAD, they can get the information from the callers or the officers, and then they input it into their computer, and then they send it to the car. So this is information that's been added, actions that have been added.
I see. And what about the mapping system?
Well, officers can do a few things. They can, and I just acknowledged that I read this.
Okay.
So if I got out of my car and I came back and there was blue again, I would know that some information had been added. But if I'm in my car and I get this, I can, we have a selection of buttons here, and I won't be able to use them here because I'm not hooked up to a GPS here.
Oh, okay.
But I could click on the Map It button here, and it would show me on the map where that location is. I can also click here on directions, and it will give me directions. It will give the officer directions. The officer can select to hear directions as they're driving, for example, to an emergency. It will tell them turn right ahead, just like people have in their cars with the GPS. If they don't want to hear the noise for whatever reason, the voice, they can select like a Yahoo map, and gives the directions there.
How does the new mapping program that's within CAD, how does that assist officers and dispatchers?
We can go to the map here, and you can zoom in and out, and it gives you the streets, so the officers can actually be driving. And as you see right here, here's an officer up here. That's our unit X40, which is our day shift in Beat 4. And so officers can look to see where their beat partners are. If they need someone to help cover them, they can tell how far they are away.
Is there a delay at all?
Right now with the system, there's a few second delay. I think it's like 3 or 4 seconds.
What are some additional benefits? I mean, we've already talked about some, but what are some added benefits of the new system for patrol officers?
The officers can select, just like on a GPS in the car, they can select to put themselves in the center and then see themselves driving, and they know what street's upcoming. The beauty of that is if an officer, for example, gets in a pursuit in an emergency situation and doesn't know exactly where they are because they didn't see the street sign and not familiar with the area, on the officer's mobile down in the bottom corner, it will show their exact location written, for example, Virginia Lane and Robin Lane, for example, and then they'll also see themselves on the map.
I bet that totally benefits graveyard officers too, where it's a little bit harder to see the street signs.
I'm sure.
So.
And then also they can select different layers, and one of my favorites is the aerial. And so here's an aerial shot that the officers can see, much like Google Earth. And then they can zoom in and kind of get an idea of the layout of a block or the neighborhood.
Wow. They have
so
all of this access right in their patrol vehicle.
Yes, they do.
Well, Sergeant Crump, I would like to thank you for being a guest on our show.
You're welcome.
Sorry we couldn't have you in the station, but it's been awesome coming here and actually checking out the system and seen how everything works. So
Yeah, you're welcome.
we're gonna
Thanks
have
for
to
coming.
have you back.
Okay,
Thanks.
anytime.